بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم نحمده ونصلي على رسوله الكريم أما بعد. So alhamdulillah, you have finished studying the الصغرى في النحو. So inshallah we're moving on to الوسطى في النحو inshallah, the second level book inshallah. Before we start the book, before we go into detail, just a few introductory matters regarding the book, why, reason, the style of the book, etc. So how people study Nahu. Or normally, even Ibn Khaldun rahimahullah has mentioned that the ideal way of studying something is in 3 levels. This is the idea: a beginner, intermediate, and a beginner, intermediate, and advanced level. And if you look at the different methodologies that people study Arabic grammar, they normally follow this pattern. For example, in the Arab work, a lot of them use the Al-Ajurumiyya. There's a very small text, very basic stuff, and then after that they go into Qatr An-Nada, and they also go on after that go to Alfiya ibn Malik. So Qatr An-Nada is a small text, not small, but it's a text that has a lot of information, very concise, very brief. Then you have the Alfiya ibn Malik, which is in poems. Alfiya from Alf, so Alf means 1,000. So you have 1,000 poems, it's a bit more than 1,000 poems on Nahw. In the subcontinent, we have the second level. We normally do Hidayatun-Nahw, and then after you have Kafiya. And the first level, because people use different books, like normally use a book in English, like in subcontinent they would use, for example, An-Nahw, Nahw Mir, or one of those books. And in England we have the translation of those, or we have Tafsir An-Nahw. We basically use something in English to get used to the language. We go to the Nahw. Why are we using As-Sughra? Why are we using this Wusta? What's this? So these are books that we've written. And the reason is that I've got a video on Hidayatun-Nahw, a whole series. I've taught Hidayatun-Nahw about a couple of times. I mean, it's thousands of people all over the world are using it, so that's it, and it does a job for them, so that's brilliant. But for me, I found it a bit difficult teaching it and explaining it. I done a whole video series, so I haven't. Maybe my deduction is wrong or my conclusion is wrong, but it's not hasty or not without trial. I've tried it. I've taught the whole series, but a few things in it, like for example, like a lot of things are like unnecessary in my opinion. They go on long, it's very extensive. For a mutawassit, it's not important. And then other things that are important are not brought in. Like for example, top of my head, you have they go into discussion, why is the ism called an ism, why is a fa'il called a fa'il? There's a very long discussion on that. And tanazul fa'lain discussion is extremely long. Most people just skip it. Then you have like asbab wa sarf, the way they discuss it is quite long. It's very difficult for the student to really grasp what munsarif. Sometimes he goes into like ta'lil, like why something is such, and there's a masla. I'm not even going to discuss this one. So certain things in there I found difficult, or I found for the students teaching and explaining them cumbersome. Then I also did Qatr An-Nada is also a part season Qatr An-Nada. So normally this is the second level book that you would do. But when I started doing it, I done half of it and I stopped, because what I find is that you have to remember, in those times, paper was difficult. There's no printing press. So, or if there was, it was very difficult. So mainly you have to, the teacher will write a note, people will transcribe it. So you want something very short and very easy to just transcribe and copy and easy to memorize. And a lot of this, and they will memorize these texts. So because of this, it's very brief and succinct. And sometimes it's very mughlaq. The text is very hard to understand. I taught it quite a few times. I think 3, 4, 5 times I taught it, and not 5 times I think. And each time I teach it, like I've teach the book 5 times, you should be able to, you know the book. You still have to go and try to figure out what he's saying again. And without his commentary, you can't understand that book. So for my teaching, and when I was listening to students revising for exams, and when I'm seeing them repeating the class and practicing, they're struggling understanding the text itself. So the Nahw was the second, was like afterwards. The actual text itself, my students, the students I was here in front of me, they were struggling to understand it. Maybe other students will find it very easy, but the level that we're at, and the students that we have in front of us, they find it difficult. Especially if you look at, if anybody looks at the discussion of how he does An-Nasiba, without the commentary or without, it's very difficult to understand all the different types of it. And sometimes he mentions something very brief. He does ishara to or something, a masala. And you have to know these things. So because of this, then we taught the awamil of birqi, and in birqi his structure was quite good. And then what I done was I just compile our own structure. So we done a sughra, we finished the sughra. The sughra is supposed to be the first level book. It's simple, text is supposed to be easy, clear headings, a system you can follow, easy text, no pronouns are ambiguous, All the examples are there. Try to make it as simple and easy as possible to follow. And what we're doing now here is the Wusta. And then there's also Kubra. It's not read, but it's notes. Inshallah, hopefully, Allah gives us siha and afiyah and life, and then we can finish it off. So this is the tartib that we use. And this is the reason we've not done the others that I found the others a bit difficult, or the students found. And sometimes you have information that you want to teach them, but it's not in the book. So you add that. But I thought, well, it's very easy for us to just copy and paste and just get the material and just put it together. And we can get the students what we want them to teach what we want to teach them, and remove the things which we think are not necessary. Okay? So that's why we have our own syllabus and our systems. Why I'm thinking, well, hundreds of thousands of people are using their own system, so the main system, so they can use it and it benefits them and they get by. But for my students, I've prepared this small little system of the beginner book, which you already covered, and now we heard the Mutawassit, the middle level book. Now, this text I'm going to explain to you is in the footnote of the, as I said, I've tried to make the whole book as easy as possible, so there's no complicated text. This text I'm going to explain to you today is in the hashia, the footnote. I'm going to go through it quickly. You don't have to know this. This is not about Nahwa. Is this an explanation of how the book's laid out? So I'm just going to explain. If you look on the first page, the hashia, the footnote is there, and you can have a look at it. But you don't need to know this. You need to know the information, or to understand the information. It's not part of the text. We do the text from tomorrow, and the text will go through it slowly, and we go through it slowly an explanation. Here I'm just going to read it to you and explain, or the footnotes I've made to explain what I've written about the text. So هذا مختصر في النحو للمتوسطين. So obviously this text that we have in front of Al-Wusta fi An-Nahw is for the Mutawassit, meaning the middle level students. So this video series will only benefit you if you've already covered the Sughra, or you've already, ideally the Sughra, or you covered any other basic book in Nahw. And Salaktu fihi ma salaktu fi Sughra, I've done the same tartib. I've thread the same path for Sughra. So the same structure. You have the three maqasid, Amil, Ma'mul, I'rab, and it's also a Khatima, additional part. So the same, so the exact same headings you had in Sughra, you'll have these exact same headings in the Wusta. The only difference is you have more rulings. How mudhifan ilayhi, I have added in ma yahtaju ilayhi al-mutawassit min masail. I've added in more rulings. In Sughra, which is basically a list of information and a skeleton. Now we're putting some meat onto the skeleton so you can understand the rules of Nahw in a bit more detail. And I've taken these rules, obviously I can't make up the rules, I've taken these rules from some of the major books. So for example, Hidayatun-Nahw, after Hidayatun-Nahw we have Kafiyah. So from Kafiyah and Hidayatun-Nahw, I've taken the main rules which I think are important, simplified them as easy text as possible and put them in. Ibn Hisham, he's wrote Qatr An-Nada, so he's really good at his Arabic. So his Qatr An-Nada, his Shudhur-ul-Dhahab, he's also got a small booklet, not very common, it's not commonly used, it's Nuqtul Al-I'rab. He's also got some stuff on Qawaid al-I'rab I've taken in, but a lot of the Qawaid al-I'rab stuff will come in the Kubra. I've taken some of his stuff as well. And I've also taken from Birqi, his Izhar al-Asrar. So these are the three main books. Obviously the other books that when we do Quran translation, we came across some Arab structure or something we added in, but primarily I've used these books. So the most of the information that's in Qatr An-Nada and Nuqtul Al-I'rab and Hidayatun-Nahw and Izhar al-Asrar, the things which I thought was important, I've tried to take them, lay out easily, and explain it. So this is the source of all the information in this book. Okay. After that, in the Hashia, not only me, but Rufqati, some of the staff, some of the Mu'allimat, some of the teachers downstairs, what we've done, we've put the Hashia, footnotes. And these footnotes explain the Arab of all of the examples, unless it's been covered before. Now, we've done Tarkib before. Now we're going to learn how to do the Arab. So Tarkib, I've mentioned, is a subcontinental style where we look at the analysis of the sentence from a holistic perspective. I'll explain that inshallah once we start a few examples inshallah. So and the footnotes, if you look at the footnotes of your book, you will see that they all have in the Hashia, they have what? Examples of, they have a structure, how to do Tarkib, how to do the I'rab, بس مرفوع بالضمة, منصوب بالياء, all of that kind of stuff. I'll explain it to you inshallah. So the main text, so the headings, etc., are all the exact same as the Sughra, the Maqsid Awwal, Maqsid Thani, Maqsid Thalith, and then there's an additional Khatima. All the headings will be the same, but we'll have more information. And in the footnotes, we'll have how to do I'rab. And what is I'rab? We'll discuss that when we start, inshallah. So I ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, I also ask all of you, that Allah gives us tawfiq to finish off this book. And along with finishing off, He gives us qabul. Okay? Any questions regarding this? Any questions regarding the book? What I've explained so far? So I said, just keep this in your mind so you understand how the book's laid out. You don't need to know that text. It's in the Hashia. But you have a rough idea how the book's been laid out. Any questions from anybody? No questions? Wali, any questions? Okay, we stop here inshallah. Subhanallah wa bihamdi, subhanakallahumma wa bihamdika. ونشهد أن لا إله إلا أنت ونستغفرك ونتوب إليك.